Hello and good day, good day, good day. I do hope each and every one of you had a good day, and I welcome you to another daily edition of Stock Market Mutterings, trade review and recap for the 13th of November. As always, if you guys need help with your personal trading, take a moment, visit thelincolnlist.com, click on the Trade Room tab. You can start trading with us right away. Now today, she was tiny. She was teeny weeny, but yet she was still green, and right? Green is good. What else can you do? Some days you got to take what the market can give you. And I cannot emphasize enough the erratic nature of this market, as we have been talking about, and I'm going to go over it in today's chart, is just how insane these ranges are. Now, I know a lot of you people out there, and the reason I do the whole thing in the beginning about, hey, if you need help trading with it, some people are just stubborn. They just don't want help. They just demand to learn things the hard way. And I know who you guys are, and I know what it's like to be in that situation. But if you started trading, I mean, anywhere, 14, 15, 16, especially 2017, this is all new to you. And it's been a long time since I've personally traded through a market. But this is what it's normally like. What we've seen over this last couple of years in the bull market is not a regular occurrence. And if you want to sustain a long-term career, because I know a lot of you are back there sitting on your hands right now like this, and you're saying, hey man, how long is this going to last? When the market gets back to its old good old self, I'll start making money again. What if the market doesn't get back to its good old self? What if it's like this all the time for the next 5 years? Ask yourself that question. What if it's like this? Will you be able to survive? Will you be able to make it? You got to figure it out, man. You have to figure it out. So let's talk about these trades today because, again, what you need to take away from this market is extremely trendy. Still, nutty trendy, but trendy. And let me show you what I'm talking about here. You have just insane moves. Like, for example, you've got Netflix here in the morning. Got a couple of green bars, a nice little breakout. This thing did the same, kind of the same identical move, except for it only lasted for like 3 or 4 minutes yesterday. Was able to hold up for almost 10, a little bit more than 10. And then you have this enormous runoff right from the open. So you have this bullish trend, an aggressive trend, you know. Some people may disagree with the use of the word trend here. And then you spend the next 30 minutes, you know, or 1 hour of the day, just trending downwards, aggressively trending downwards. Then this thing stops down at 289 after it already retraces $10, right? And then it just pivots and it spends the next hour going up. Then it spends the rest of the day going down. So you see what I mean by these trends? It'll pick these intraday trends, and the market and stocks will just up and run for a half an hour to an hour straight. And then they'll go down for a half an hour straight. And those moves are so aggressive. It isn't until later in the day they start tapering down a little bit. But man, what a nutty move. So let's talk about our trades, because I missed out on my good buddy today. I went with Win. If you remember, Win was the culprit. Win was the one that took me at the very beginning of this month. I lost a little bit of money on this. I'm sure if you follow this market mutterings on a regular basis, you know what I'm talking about. So got a little revenge there, did I not? Just kind of poked that Win, you know, just kind of slapped it. Hit me 3 times. I got 1 punch in, so that's good. So anyway, same kind of scenario. Market was kind of ripping here, and I've had some issues with stuff like Netflix shorting it out of the open. Stuff like NVDA. The ranges have been so nuts that if you don't get the perfect entry, then you can get smoked to the upside. And if you use a stop, you really get stopped out an awful lot. So I went into this thing with a starter position, and I tell you what, we did a really good job. I mean, this set the tone. First trade of the day was really, really nice. You saw it there on the screen early when I had the brokerage account up, and it just rolled over. Now, this case, the market was doing the same. We started to see this pull on all of the stuff, you know, across the board. So at this point, I said, I'm going to go ahead and book a little bit of profit. And then we'll see where the rest of this goes, because I think a lot of this stuff could actually go red. I think it was up $3 or $4 or something like that at the time. So anyway, you know, it just kind of rolls back over. We cut half, and then we turn around and ride it all the way down. And it wasn't until it bounced here for a little bit that we start just covering it up. So this was really a nice trade, and a really nice trade just to kind of start this whole thing out. So I like these right now, and I think this is kind of the position that you have to put yourself in as well, is that in the very beginning of the day, it is so difficult to buy in to all of these greens. I mean, the market, just refuses to hold on. I mean, we may have had one, maybe two really solid green mornings where it just kept ripping and it kept ripping. But other than that, most of them had faded. So still, one thing that we did learn here, a great lesson for all of us in our room, was we took our time with this. We waited for this, you know, kind of the steam to roll off a little and got a nice short. Now, I was kind of looking for Netflix here to once this initial flush happened, I was looking to kind of short some of the stuff, especially on a bounce. And for some reason, I picked Netflix here out of the hole and not Baba. Baba was actually up. King Baba was holding up. So let's say Queen Netflix here. I got in here short on this once we started. You can see this like nice little pivot right here, kind of a failed bounce, I like to call it. And you got some really aggressive reds starting in. Now, when I see this, I'm not just looking at this. I'm just looking at stocks across the board. And I'm seeing that everything else is just nose diving, like Apple. You know, the rest of these names just flushing out into lows. There's barely a few that are still clinging to green. And when we've seen this a lot with Netflix, we have seen aggressive downward moves. And again, we get that. We had a really, really nice move here on this trade. And I did the same thing as I did with Win. And then I put a stop just slightly above my entry price on the last half. You'll see it on there. We picked up maybe a buck or so, or something there at the first one. And then, damn, when it came back and it hit me, I actually slipped on the order. It cost me like 90 cents or some crap like that. Fortunately, I had a small position, but still, it was gnarly. And then it was a good thing to cover because, I mean, look, again, I brought it up at the very beginning. Look at this dude. Oh, I called it a queen earlier, didn't I? Look at this queen, sweetheart. Just rips. I mean, this is a violent $10, yeah, more than that. It was like $12. I mean, this is just nuts. So I know a lot of you are going through this. And look, I'm not going to be the one to sit here and act like I know every single move this market makes. Anyone who does is just lying to you. I mean, this is the kind of market that takes some time to get used to, especially after we've been on an extraordinary, you know, linear market, you know, an abnormal market. This is what normally follows in those situations. And I have to kind of go back to trading through the credit crisis in those times where, you know, there was extreme volatility in stocks and the market itself and indecision and all that kind of stuff. And as the more that we progress through this, I start to remember more and more and more about how I handled myself back then and the kind of trades that I did. And I think what you got to do here is you really have to focus on your entry points. I mean, you've got to be patient and wait for that right entry. The days of getting a sloppy entry and then working your way through the trade are gone because you don't know if you're in this thing and you're going to get smoked on for $2 or $3 or, you know, it's going to work out for you for $2 or $3. And again, I know a lot of you might say, well, you don't have to worry about that if you use a stop. Yes, you do, even if you use a stop, because if you don't have the right entry or you're not in the right spot with the chart, then even if you use a stop, you're probably going to get stopped out more often. You know, you're probably going to get stopped and then the trade may work out in your favor and then you just took a stop for no reason at all. So that was really, that was the only trades that I had was Win and Netflix. And it, you know, lost a little on that second piece of Netflix. Overall, teeny weeny profits for the day, but I'll take it. I'll take it for the way, because once we got towards past the first hour and a half or so, the market really just became a slob, just back and forth, just choppy nature. And then you really have to focus on that too. You really got to hit your marks early in this kind of stuff. So let's talk about, what are we going to talk about? Let's talk about tomorrow. Let's talk about tomorrow. Let's talk about tomorrow. I still think you're going to see more selling in this market. Now, the Dow is sitting right here, close to its 200 moving average, but let's take a peek at the SPY. I mean, at one point, these things bounced off of tariff news, and this stuff is getting to be a damn bit annoying, but that's the market. They like to beat a story to death. You are now back under this 200 moving average right here on the daily. We went through that yesterday, and it kind of bounced up there towards it today and got rejected. That's not a good sign when you're talking about technical analysis. I mean, you look across the board at a lot of these stocks, and the word that you can use is just technical damage. These charts have been damaged. These charts are broken and they look terrible. So when you're looking at trying to find a clean chart, you're probably not going to find too many of them. Now, if you look at where we closed, there's a couple of lows down here. I'll give you some reference points. You got to be looking at maybe this 270 spot you had, what is this, 3 days back here, which was the 31st, the 1st of this month, and the 2nd. So you had 3 days there where a bottom held, which is now, at that time was the 10 moving average on the daily chart, before we made this upswing. I would expect this market gets back down towards the lower 270. Now, we began the week talking about that. Are we going to hold? If we hold the 200 moving average, maybe we start seeing 280 again. But now that we've been spending a lot more time towards 270, I expect that we will see that lower area get tested here somewhere around this 270 to 269. Maybe we don't, but according to the charts, that's what it's saying. Now, I think if that does happen, you can't rule out another test of the lows again, you know? I mean, that's filling in the gap here from when this whole rally started. It goes back on the 30th at 268, you know. Well, actually, the rally started a little earlier than that, but that was that solid green day. You're actually going to fill in that, possibly fill in that gap down there towards 268s. Now, that doesn't, what you got to understand, too, is just because you say you see the technical broken charts and stuff like that, understand that these things take time. It may not happen tomorrow, especially after you've had 3 robust sell-off days. You still cannot discount panic rallies. And I mean, right now, the way the charts look, all of them look, not all of them, I'm sure there's a great looking chart out there somewhere. They all look like failed rallies. All it looked like was a panic rally in a bear market is what this thing looked like. Because now this thing has been confirmed on the market that it is broken, rejected well before the 50 moving average, trading back under the 200 moving average. So when you incorporate all of this stuff throughout the late month of August and through this month, you spent more time under the 200 moving average than you have above it. And the longer that happens, at some point, you know, maybe there's a few bounces, a few rejections, maybe it's 3, 4, or 5 days, a week, 2 weeks, Christmas, who knows. But the longer it stays there, at some point, you will get a monstrous panic sell-off like you did back here. So you got to keep that in mind. And that goes across the board with any stock right now. With the market being this volatile, you know, a lot of times we don't always look at the market. I look at the stock chart first and let that make my decisions. And, you know, in 99% of the cases, that still remains true. But when you see a market like this, you do have to pay attention to it because, as they say, rising tide lifts all boats. I don't know what you want. What do they say when it goes down? Sinking boats or something? I don't know. A decreasing tide? Who knows? Make something up and send it to me so I can say it. Anyway, let's leave it at that because I think you've got some great looking short opportunities. BA, for example, Apple looks like a short right here. The market itself looks like a short right here. BABA holding up, actually. Any kind of fatigue underneath of 146 is probably a short there. NVDA, I'd stay away from that. You've got earnings coming out. They all look like a short. Whether that plays out, you know, just because I said this is a short, that is a short, don't start shorting it first thing in the morning. You know, the market might actually bounce that day and run for 3 or 4 days. Even junk bounces every so often. So let's go with that. Let's take a look at this stuff. Pay very attention to the lows. I told you that yesterday. Pay attention to the lows of today, and if these stocks go under that again in the morning, I would still expect what we saw today. You know, like I said yesterday, you will see aggressive selling, and that's what you got today, and that's probably what you're going to get tomorrow. If the lows get taken out, just pick your favorite stock. Pick it. Pick the bottom of where it was today and draw a line right across into tomorrow. And if that thing goes underneath of it, it's probably going to get toasted a little bit more. At least at that short period of time. So anyway, if you need help, take a moment, visit thelincolnlist.com, click on the Trade Room tab. Trade with me. If nothing else, just keep me company, right? As always, it's been a pleasure. Show your support by subscribing to this channel. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to everyone tomorrow and trade well.